Hi there, and welcome back to week 4 of the APUSH Boot Camp. As usual, we're going to talk about the goals and tasks of the week, do a brief content preview, discuss the theme, and then go over the reminders for the week. So, we are going to be focusing on the key concept of the British colonies for the next 4 weeks. So, this week we're just looking at the Chesapeake, and the next week New England, and then the following week the Southern, and then we'll wrap up with the middle colonies. And while we do that, we're also going to be hitting the key concepts related to the European interactions with American Indians and also the importation of enslaved persons into the British colonies. So we're going to be hitting these 3 objectives for the next 4 weeks. And then additionally, this week, we are going to be really emphasizing supporting an argument using specific and relevant evidence. So we're probably going to go back and look at short answer questions again for the next couple weeks, but also we'll throw in some long essay questions like body paragraphs while we look at using evidence in our rating. So the tasks for this week, you've got a few pages in AMSCO to look at, and then tailored chapters 6 and 7. You're going to continue, you're going to start actually your period 2 FBI reading notes. You're just going to do part of number 1, and then you're going to do all of number 2 and number 3. Continue your postings on Padlet, and then you are going to just begin the period 2 objectives, including information on the Chesapeake colonies for C, E, and F, and then we'll add to those 3 objectives for the next 4 weeks. And then you're also going to begin a graphic organizer and just do the row on the Chesapeake colonies this week. So here's your content preview. You're going to see a graphic organizer very similar to the one that we worked on last week in our group session, where you are going to be looking at the North American regions. You want to describe where the Chesapeake settlers settled. What were the colonies eventually named? Also in that North American region box, you can include some descriptions of what the soil was like, or the winters, or the growing season. Include some details about the actual geography and environment. And then you're going to look at the imperial goals. But within this, I want for you to include who were the immigrants. Who were the typical immigrants? Were they families? Were they young single men? Was it a diverse group of people, or was it homogenous? Because that who they are impacts or is impacted by why they were going to this area. Then the next section I want for you to focus on is interactions. That's actually going to be the last column. Why did conflict grow between British colonists and American Indians? So discuss what was happening in the Chesapeake colonies and how that impacted the local American Indian groups. And then in the third to last column, it says characteristics of life and culture. Really focus in here on economic activity and labor systems. That's a key point here. What were the types of work and what was life like for both contract and enslaved laborers? You're going to come across enslaved Africans and indentured servants. So include some characteristics or some details about that while you are working on this graphic organizer. So this week we're focusing in on the theme called migration and settlement. It focuses on why and how various people who moved to and within the United States both adapted to and transformed their social and physical environment. Push and pull factors shape immigration to and migration within America, and the demographic change as a result of these moves shape the migrant society and the environment. So here you can see are the lessons related explicitly to migration. As you can see, it's very brief in the early units. Although migration and settlement is a huge development and process that is occurring, it's not the main focus in these early units. Instead, you can see as we get into unit 6, 7, 8, and finally unit 9, that's when migration becomes really, really significant and emphasized by the College Board. So what are the things you want to pay attention to with this theme? How did the motivations and characteristics of British immigrants shape their respective colonies? So we are really going to be zoning in on the skill of comparison. We'll start looking at comparison next week. But how did their motivations and who they were end up impacting the colonies differently? How did European immigration and American westward expansion lead to conflicts and competition over resources? So that's a concept you're going to come across right away in this reading, but it's going to continue into and throughout American history. What were the causes and effects of migration during the Gilded Age, World War periods, and 21st century? So you're going to come across a couple waves of immigration as we move into the 1900s especially. And what were the causes and effects of that? How did Americans, or how have Americans responded to immigration? And how has immigration and settlement remained similar or changed over time? So these are really your key questions that you want to be understanding related to this theme throughout the course. So final reminders here. Complete your initial post on Padlet by Wednesday and your replies by Saturday. Get a start on your period 2 FBI notes. Begin those objectives and begin the graphic organizer. I hope that this is a good informative lesson for you. I hope that you can really dive into these Chesapeake colonies this week, as that has been one of the concepts that has been emphasized by the College Board consistently. I will see you on Wednesday.